Blessed people, welcome back to the Daily Scoop, where we break down what is happening in dancehall, reggae, and Jamaican entertainment and give you the story from every handle. Today, we have a lot to unpack because several conversations are happening at the same time. We are talking about dancehall Queen Spice and the surprising musical move involving her son who is now representing himself to the public as Triple Matrix. We are also getting into the big debate surrounding this year's music releases and why names like Beanie Man, Protege, Massacre Vybz Kartel, Alkaline Shaggy, Capoton, Buju Banton, Queen Africa, and others could make the Grammy conversation very interesting. Then we have Jada Kingdom, who was asked a very simple question: who is your role model in the music industry? Her answer was basically nobody. And trust me, people have plenty to say about that. And then, perhaps the biggest topic of the day, Mr. Vegas has hinted the discussion surrounding Vybz Kartel and whether Kartel has actually moved on so forward. Vegas did not hold back anything. So today we are going to break all of that down. And before we go any further, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the Daily Scoop, turn on your notification bell, and tell me in the comments which topic caught your attention the most. Let's get straight into it. Let's start with something that genuinely caught me by surprise. Spy's son is apparently stepping into music, and he is not simply appearing beside his mother and getting a feature because of his family name. He is presenting himself as Triple Matrix, and from what has been shown publicly, he is already putting together music of his own. One of the tracks being highlighted is called Also Hard. No, let me make something clear. Whenever a famous artist shall enter entertainment, people immediately become suspicious. They say, well, of course, the song is getting attention because of the mother, and honestly, that is a fair question. If you are the child of somebody like Spice, you already have access to an audience that another upcoming artist might spend years trying to build. But here is where I think Triple Metrics deserves some credit. Based on the material being circulated, the young artist is not simply depending on the family name. The song has its own energy, the flow is there, the presentation is there, and the visual concept shows that there is at least an attempt to establish an identity separate from Spice. That is important because having a famous parent can open the door, but it cannot automatically generate that people will continue listening. Eventually, the music has to speak for itself, and that is why I'm interested to see what happens next with Triple Metrics. We know Spice has spent years building her own musical identity. She has established herself as one of the most recognizable female figures in modern dancehall. So, if her son really wants to enter this business, he is going to have to figure out how to stand beside that legacy without being completely burdened underneath it. And honestly, I think that's the challenge for many children of famous entertainers. People know the parent before they know the child. So, Triple Metrics has to create a reason for people to say, "Married him because of his own work, not simple that's my son." And if also art is an indication of where he is going, then we might be seeing the beginning of something interesting. Now, let's talk music because when you look at the projects that have been coming out, this has been a strong period for Jamaican music. And if we're discussing potential Grammy recognition, there are several serious contenders in the conversation. Beanie Man has a project that has received plenty of attention, and personally, I understand why people are talking about it. The album carries a nostalgic feeling while still trying to connect with the current generation. The production is important, the collaborations are important, and Beanie Man is one of those artists who has decades of of history behind him. When you combine that experience with modern production and younger voices, you get something that can appeal to different generation. Then you have Protege with the heart of acceptance. Protege has built a reputation around thoughtful songwriting, strong concept, and a modern reggae sound. Then we have Masika and his project Forever Rain. Masika has been making a serious push internationally, and the reception to the project has shown that his audience extend well beyond Jamaica. You also can't have this conversation without mentioning Vybz Kartel. Whether somebody love him or dislike him personally, his musical influence cannot simply be erased from the conversation. Then there is Alkaline, another major figure who has developed a very distinctive sound and audience. We also have Shaggy, Keputan, Buju Banton, Queen Africa, and several other established names continuing to contribute to reggae and dancehall. So the question becomes, who actually get recognized? And that is where things become complicated because the Grammy are not simple about who has the biggest fan base. There are different factors involved, including the recording itself, the category, the voting process, and the overall presentation of the project. But if you are asking me which album deserve to be listened to carefully, I'm telling you, don't sleep on Beanie Man Project, don't sleep on Protege, don't sleep on Massacre, and don't ignore the veterans. Sometimes people become so focused on whatever is trending on social media that they forget music is supposed to be listened to. You don't have to support an album because Twitter says it's number one. You don't have to dislike an album because another fan base doesn't like the artist. Put on the headphones, listen, judge the music. That's how I approached it. Now let's talk about Jada Kingdom. She was asked a very straightforward question: who is your role model in the music industry? And Jada basically said she doesn't have one. Now some people might hear that and immediately say, how can you enter music and not have a role model? But I actually understand what she is saying. There is a difference between respecting somebody's work and wanting to become that person. Jada can appreciate an artist's music without saying that's the person I want to model my career after. And honestly, that's not necessarily arrogance. Sometimes you have to develop your own identity. Every artist does not have to copy somebody who came before them. And I think Jada's response also speaks to something deeper about the entertainment industry. The public see the finished product, we see the music video, we see the interviews, we see the red carpet, we see the performances, but artists see the industry differently. They see contracts, they see competition, they see relationships, they see politics, they see disagreement, they see things that fans will never see. So an artist can respect another entertainer musically while not necessarily wanting that person's career or personality to become their blueprint. And that is why I would not automatically attack Jada for that answer. Maybe her philosophy is simple. I want to become the best version of myself, and there is nothing wrong with that. No, we get to the heavyweight discussion, Vybz Kartel, and this is where Mr. Vegas has entered the conversation. There has been debate about whether Vybz Kartel should still be regarded as one of the biggest forces in dancehall and whether he actually moved the genre forward. Vegas' position is very clear. He believes Kartel influence goes far beyond simple having hit songs. He argued that Kartel changed the way artists approach dancehall, and honestly, this is where people have to separate personal feelings from musical history. You don't have to like Vybz Kartel, you don't have to support everything associated with him, you don't have to consider him your favorite artist, but when you're discussing music history, we have to be objective because Vybz Kartel didn't simply make songs, he influenced the way people approach songwriting, he influenced flows, he influenced delivery, he influenced the way rhythm were popular use, he influenced slang, he influenced visual presentation, and he influenced younger artists. And perhaps most importantly, he helped create an environment where other artists could take that sound and develop their own version of it. That is influence. Now, some people will argue other artists contribute too. Absolutely. Dancehall did not begin with Cartel, and dancehall certainly does not end with him. People like Bounty Killer, Beanie Man, Buju Banton, Shabarangs, Super Cat, Ninja Man, Lady Saw, Sean Paul, Capleton, and many others play major role in different eras. That is history. But the fact that other people contributed does not mean cartel contribution disappear. And this is where I think the arguments sometimes become unnecessary. You don't have to destroy Alkaline to praise cartel. You don't have to disrespect Massacre to praise cartel. You don't have to attack Popcorn to praise cartel. You don't have to undermine Spice or Shensia or any other artist. Multiple artists can be great at the same time. That is the point. One of the more interesting arguments from Mr. Vega's concern was what happened after Carter returned from prison. According to Vegas, Carter return had a wider effect on the business, and whether you agree with every part of that argument or not, there is something worth examining. When a major artist returns after years away, the industry doesn't simply react to the music. The market react, promoter react, fans react, streaming platform react, other artists react. And when Cartel returned, the level of attention surrounding him was enormous. The conversation became international. Artists wanted to be associated with him, fans wanted collaboration, promoters wanted shows, and his name became a major commercial asset again. Vegas also made the argument that artists' performance fees have changed drastically over the years. No, obviously we can't simply say every increase in artist fees happened because of one person. There are many factors. Streaming changed the business, social media changed promotion, international touring changed the business, the Jamaican diaspora grew, Afrobeat created more global attention around Caribbean music, dancehall artists became more strategic with their international audience. So there are many reasons the market changed, but cartel influence is certainly one of the factors worth discussing. And this is where the conversation become even bigger. Look at how Jamaican dancehall has interacted with international music. Burna Boy has repeatedly shown appreciation for Caribbean sounds. And then you have artists like Sean Paul who demonstrate long ago that Jamaican music could become a major commercial force internationally. So, when somebody say dancehall has not moved forward, we have to define what moving forward actually means. Does it mean creating a new sound? Does it mean selling more records? Does it mean entering new markets? Does it mean influencing other genres? Does it mean artists earning money? More money? Does it mean changing the way young people create music? Because depending on your definition, different artists deserve different credit. And this is my biggest point. I don't think dancehall benefit from this constant argument where every artist has to be placed against Vybz Kartel. Massacre is great, Alkaline, Popcorn, Skillibeng, Spice, Jada Kingdom, they can be great as well. And Vybz Kartel can still have its historical position. There is enough room. When Massacre sell out a major venue, celebrate it. When Skillibeng get international attention, celebrate it. When Spice reaches another level, celebrate it. When Vybz Kartel makes another major achievement, celebrate that too. The genre becomes stronger when everybody wins. Because if your favorite artist succeed and you have to spend the entire day explaining why another artist is terrible, you are missing the bigger picture. And that's why triple metrics enter the music business is interesting because we are watching another generation emerge. Spice came from one era, her son is coming into a completely different music industry. Today, an artist can record a song in Jamaica and have somebody in Africa, Europe, America, or Asia hear it within hours. So Social media can create a star overnight, but that also means the competition is greater. So Triple Metrics has an opportunity, Jada Kingdom has an opportunity, Masika has an opportunity, Skilly Bang has an opportunity, every young artist has an opportunity, but they also have to understand something. Influence is earned. You can't demand respect, you build something that makes people respect you. And that's what I want to see from the new generation. Not endless arguments, not fan base war, not tearing down the next artist. Build, create, experiment, tour, write better songs, develop your sound, and let the music speak. So, when we put everything together today, discussion really comes down to one thing. Where is dancehall going next? We have veterans like Beanie Man, Buja Banton, Capleton, and Shaggy still contributing. We have established stars like Vybz Kartel, Spice, Alkaline, and Popcorn continuing to influence the culture. We have artists like Masika and Skillibeng pushing into new territory. We have younger voices like Jada Kingdom refusing to simply copy somebody else's blueprint. And now we are seeing the next generation, including Triple Metrics, begin to step forward. That's exciting. And as for the debate about Vybz Kartel, you can criticize a man, you can disagree with him, you can dislike him. But if you are discussing the history and evolution of dancehall, we cannot simply erase the influence. That's not about being a Gaza fan. That's not about being a Gully fan. That's not about supporting one artist over another. That's simply acknowledging musical history. And at the same time, acknowledging cartel influence does not mean we should stop giving credit to everyone else. So, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Mr. Vegas that Vybz Kartel influence on dancehall is so significant that his era deserves its own classification? Do you agree with Jada Kingdom that an artist does not necessarily need a role model? And finally, what do you think about Triple Metrics entering the music business? Tell me everything down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, subscribe to the Daily Scoop, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Blessings, respect, and big up everybody supporting Jamaican music. Until the next video, stay safe, stay informed, and keep your eyes on the Daily Scoop.